Today we're comparing the iPhone 17 to the brand new iPhone Air. Now I know the Air costs $200 more, and for a lot of you sitting on the fence, this might be the video that helps you decide. Deep down, from a practical standpoint, the iPhone 17 is obviously the safer choice. But there's just something so alluring about the Air that pulls people in. And look, maybe that's enough for you, and if it is, fair play. Here's what I noticed though, after handing the Air to about 5 or 6 people. If they were used to heavy phones like a Galaxy S25 Ultra or even the iPhone 15 or 16 Pro Max, their first reaction was, oh my God, this thing is so light. But people coming from a regular iPhone 16 didn't react the same way. They picked it up, said they liked it, but never mentioned the weight. That's because the difference between the iPhone 16 and 17 is around only 8 to 10 grams. It's noticeable a little bit, but not wow worthy. It's the Pro and Max users who really feel the drop. Now don't get me wrong, Apple did something incredible here. The iPhone Air is stunning. Honestly, I just want to throw all my other phones to the side and use it exclusively. But I know myself, I'd eventually regret it because the Air requires giving up a lot. The other people, the iPhone users, their wow moments were more about like the thinness of the phone rather than the weight. The Air is physically bigger than the iPhone 17. It's not as thick, not as heavy, but the display stretches out to the edges. The titanium frame also gives it a premium vibe that the regular iPhone 17 doesn't have. It's aluminum, like all the phones are aluminum now except for the Air. The 17 though has slightly more rounded edges, making it really comfortable to hold without the sharpness of older models. But here's the first big difference. The iPhone Air has just one rear camera, while the iPhone 17 keeps 2. If you care about versatility, that's probably a deal breaker. Apple also redesigned the back of the Air, or I guess it's their new design overall, because they included a brand new plateau around the camera. Look, it's a fun little perk. We've seen it on other phones before. And yes, you're gonna get a little bit less wobble when it's sitting on the table compared to the iPhone 17. But there's a trade-off. The Air does run hotter. Like when I was shooting photos outside, the heat buildup around the rear plateau, while the 17 dissipated the heat better thanks to its thicker chassis. Like it felt more evenly distributed. But we finally have a real game changer for the iPhone 17. It finally gets 120 Hz. The iPhone Air already has it for its first generation. Like, about time, right? Like even bargain bin Android phones from Poco Loco from years ago had this. And look, once you feel it, you're not gonna go back to 60 Hz. And the best way to tell the difference is to put a 60 Hz phone beside 120 Hz and start scrolling. Once you see it, it's impossible to unsee it. Both phones also share that crazy 3000 nit display brightness that is now standard across the entire lineup. HDR content looks incredible. Outdoor visibility is so much better than before. Oh, and there is one little quirky detail on the Air. The front camera, well, it's on the left side of all the sensors, while the iPhone 17 has the camera on the right. Don't worry, it doesn't change anything or make anything worse, but it is something that I noticed when I was using both devices. So this is what dual capture looks like. It basically uses the selfie camera to record my face and then the rear cameras to basically show what I want people to see. It does it very well. The good news is you can switch back and forth between different focal lengths. This is something you can't do on a lot of Android phones. Also, you can move the selfie around. Like if I want it over here, no problem, I can move it over here, not a big deal. The only thing I don't like is the fact that it doesn't record the footage from the front and back camera into separate files. It merges them all into one, which is really annoying, but you know what? Am I gonna use this? Probably not, but maybe you will. If you do, let me know. And if you thought the disadvantages with the Air are over, well, there's only one speaker baked into the Air piece. It's fine, it's a fine speaker, but next to the iPhone 17's dual speaker, it sounds weak. Stereo sound, which requires 2 speakers, always sounds better. Another odd choice is the USB-C port on the Air isn't perfectly centered with the frame. And this is Apple we're talking about, where symmetry means everything in terms of design. Now, I'm sure one day when Apple finally goes portless, this all won't matter, but once you see it, again, I've already said this, you can't unsee it. Now, for anyone sensitive to PWM flicker, and I talked about this in my previous video, if your phone gives you headaches at low brightness, the entire iPhone 17 lineup, including the Air, has a toggle to reduce it. You can find the toggle under Settings, Accessibility, and Display Brightness. Now, enabling it will dim the color slightly, so keep this in mind. My suggestion is to only turn it on if you actually get headaches. Another big difference between both of these devices is that the Air only has one lens. I've already said this before. And look, it's the same lens or same wide lens that's on the iPhone 17. You take photos with this during the day, you're really not going to notice a difference. It's a solid camera. This 48 megapixel lens is not the same one on the Pro. The sensor size is actually a little bit smaller, but it's still a very good camera, okay? And Apple likes to talk big about having multiple lenses in one lens. It's just marketing, guys, okay? There's only 2 lenses on the iPhone 17 and only 1 on the Air. What's happening is once you go from 1 times to 2 times, you're just cropping in. The difference this year is that maybe Apple is applying a little bit of AI to clean up the image at 2 times, right? So it's just gonna look better when you take it from your phone rather than bringing it back and it looks a little digitally enhanced. But here's the thing, like if you like to zoom in a lot, the most these phones can zoom is up to 10 times. Quite frankly, anything from 1 times to 5 times is usable. As soon as you start passing that 5 times, you really see like that digital noise start to creep in to the photo. The big advantage with the iPhone 17 is the ultra wide lens. Not only can you take in more of the scene, like very important if you like taking landscape shots and you want more in your picture, or if you have tons of friends that you want to get into the shot, but it also adds the benefit of being able to use a macro mode, which you can't do on the Air. Now, obviously both phones can shoot up to 4K 60 FPS. In this shot that I'm showing you now, it's at 4K 30. And just like the daytime photo shots I showed you, the video quality is identical on both phones. Now, what's also identical on the entire lineup is the brand new 18 megapixel front-facing camera. It's a new center stage camera. There's the ability to auto zoom and auto rotate depending on the subjects behind you if you want to get them in the shot. Like I said in my Pro video, I turned this off. I'd rather do it manually. It just gets annoying at times. But they've also introduced a few new features with this camera. Like it's an open gate, uses the entire sensor, which is huge for those of you who take a lot of selfies. So this is it, iPhone Air versus iPhone 17. You should see an absolute zero difference compared to each other just because they're both using the exact same 18 megapixel center stage camera. This does have a new feature though. And I've talked about this in my iPhone 17 Pro Max review, where you can keep it in a vertical position and then go ahead and swap it to horizontal by utilizing the entire sensor. This is huge because your eyes stay leveled with the camera, so it looks a lot more natural when you're talking. So here we are again. This time we're using the entire sensor of both phones. So you get a whole 16:9 aspect ratio. So if you're doing like a normal YouTube video that's not a short, you can just use your front-facing camera and it's gonna look exactly like this. I love this. Like I'm gonna be using this all the time. But here's where it gets tricky. The iPhone 17 runs on the A19 chip. The Air technically has an A19 Pro, but it's a slightly cut down version with 5 GPU cores instead of 6 like you'd find on the Pro models. And because of the thinner body, it does overheat faster and throttles harder. In my 3D Mark stress test, you see the Air's performance nosedive quickly. The stability is just not as good as it is on the 17. But in real life, it just depends on what you're doing. Like if you're heavy gaming all the time, stay away from the Air, right? You're better off with the Pro or the regular iPhone 17. But if you're just doing everyday stuff and you're browsing the net, playing the odd Candy Crush game, it's not gonna make a difference in your life. As for battery life, the Air actually holds its own. Is it amazing? Absolutely not. Is it going to blow other phones out of the market? Well, phones like the Galaxy S25 Edge, sure. But compared to the iPhone 16, it's worse, about 1 to 2 hours shorter. And compared to the iPhone 17, expect a 3 to 4 hour difference. Like this will add up if you're planning to keep this phone for 4 to 5 years, as the longevity of the battery won't last. The good news though is that charging hits 50% in about 20 to 30 minutes. Not the fastest in the industry, but at least it's progress for Apple and it quickly gets you out the door. Now, regardless of what iPhone you buy, you probably don't want to pay Apple more money for repairs. Dbrand, today's sponsor, has a few awesome cases to keep your phone protected. First up, the Tank. Rugged protection with a tactical design that some people will love. It's basically indestructible and the magnets are so strong you can probably tow a small car. Then there's the Ghost. It's crystal clear, zero yellowing, and ridiculously scratch resistant. Plus it's so light you'll forget there's even a case on until it saves your phone. And finally, the Prism, Dbrand's idiot-proof screen protector. Alignment's easy, no bubbles, no dust, and you get 2 in the box in case you actually are an idiot. And the good news is you get 42% off the Prism by bundling it with a Tank Ghost or grip case. Links to all of them will be in the description down below. So here's the bottom line. The iPhone Air is gorgeous. It's lightweight and it's fun to use, but it's also compromised. There's only one camera, less battery, throttling under full load. The iPhone 17, meanwhile, is balanced, practical, and delivers the features that matter most for the price. If you're planning to keep your phone for years, I'd recommend the iPhone 17 9 times out of 10. In fact, it's the iPhone to get this year. The Air, well, it's for people who want aesthetics over everything else. And hey, if that's you, I got no judgment. Like, you do you. It's a beautiful phone, but at least now you know what you're getting yourself into. Either way, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section down below. Like the video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys in the next one.